You might have seen the headlines. A recent court decision just gave Meta a massive win, protecting its empire. But honestly, the real story here isn't just about one company's victory. It's about a fundamental, deep-seated flaw in the internet that all of us use every single day. And this verdict? It might just be the final piece of evidence we need to prove that the whole system is broken.
Yeah, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? The source material calls this a symbolic defeat for innovation and consumer choice, and that's exactly what it is. This court case wasn't just some legal battle, it was the starting gun for a much, much bigger conversation about where the internet is heading. So let's start with the verdict itself. Because when you dig into the details of what actually happened in that courtroom, you start to see the core of the problem we're all dealing with online. And here's the bottom line. The FTC, that's the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, they tried to force Meta to break up its empire. The goal was to make them sell off Instagram and WhatsApp. And the court's answer? A huge, resounding no. Meta's digital kingdom gets to stay completely intact. Okay, so you can see the two sides of the argument right here. On one hand, you had the FTC, who claimed Meta used this buy or bury strategy to basically just eliminate any real threat. But the court, they didn't buy it. They pointed to new apps, like TikTok, as proof that competition is still alive and kicking. And just like that, years and years of Meta's controversial acquisitions were given a legal stamp of approval. And this is the absolute key takeaway here. The outcome of this case doesn't actually mean Meta is a monopoly. No. What it really proved is that our 100-year-old antitrust laws are completely out of date. It's like trying to catch a fighter jet with a butterfly net. They're just not built for the digital age. And that leads us to the much deeper issue, right? This whole court case accidentally exposed this huge flaw in how we even define competition on the modern internet. This is the exact question the court asked. And on a surface, it seems totally reasonable, right? I mean, new apps go viral all the time. But asking this question completely, and I mean completely, misses where the real power is. This iceberg visual is the perfect way to understand this. On the surface, above the water, we see all these apps fighting for our eyeballs, for our attention. It looks like a super dynamic market. But the real power, the massive, scary part, is what's underneath. That's the deep monopoly. Meta isn't just one app. It's this unified system that controls the data of billions of us across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Just think of it like a data fortress. A new app like TikTok can't even touch this. There's no way they can replicate decades of data on all our friendships, our interests, our behaviors, all the stuff Meta has vacuumed up and combined. That fortress is what fuels their advertising engine. And that is their real, unchallengeable monopoly. The fallout from this is just huge. The court has pretty much said that as long as some new, shiny app pops up, big tech's past moves to just swallow up the competition are totally fine. It's basically a green light for even more consolidation. Okay, so if the old rules are broken, what's the actual solution? Well, this leads us to a completely different way of looking at the internet, a true paradigm shift. And this brings us to a pretty radical idea. What if we stop trying to put a Band-Aid on a system that's fundamentally broken? The problem isn't just one company. The real problem is the entire model of the internet we use today, what people call Web 2.0, a system that is literally designed to create these data monopolies. This is the world we're all living in right now. We create the content, we post the pictures, we write the comments. But these centralized platforms, they own it. They harvest our data from it, and they use that data to make billions of dollars. In this system, monopolies aren't some bug. They're the feature. It's the inevitable outcome. But what if we could just change the architecture itself? The solution being proposed is a brand new model, sometimes called Web 4. It's a user-centric, decentralized internet. And its core principle is something called data sovereignty, which is a simple but totally revolutionary idea that you, not the platform, should own and control your own data and your own digital identity. This chart just breaks it down perfectly. I mean, look at the control row. We go from centralized control by corporations in Web 2.0 to decentralized control by users in Web 4. For data, we go from platform-owned to user-owned. And this changes everything for competition. Instead of being based on who has the biggest data monopoly, competition is now based on who has the best tech and the best features. And here is the beautiful, elegant solution to the entire problem.
If there is no central database for one company to own, then there can be no data monopoly. It literally removes the very thing that gives these giants all of their unassailable power. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but is anyone actually building this stuff? So let's shift from these abstract ideas to what's really happening on the ground right now. Yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? It's one thing to talk about decentralization and all these concepts, but what does it actually look like when you're trying to build a new kind of social network? Well, it starts with concepts like DSNaaS, or Decentralized Social Network as a Service. Okay, forget the acronym for a second. The idea is simple. Think of it like a toolkit. It's the basic infrastructure that gives literally anyone the power to build and launch their very own social network, one that they and their community actually control, not some giant corporation in Silicon Valley. And this isn't just theory, it's real. For example, there are platforms popping up, like one called Linkspreed, that offer exactly this. They give you the tools so your community, or you as an individual, can launch your own sovereign network. And because these networks are decentralized from the very beginning, they are structurally immune to the kind of monopolistic control that Meta just successfully defended in court. This really paints a picture of a very different kind of future, doesn't it? Instead of all of us being trapped inside one or two massive walled gardens, imagine millions of smaller, independent, interconnected communities, all able to talk to each other, but not controlled by any single company. And that really leaves us with this powerful final thought. Meta's big victory in court kind of proves that trying to fight the existing system with old, outdated tools is probably a losing battle. The real way forward isn't to just keep trying to regulate the walled garden, but to give everyone the tools to leave it behind and just build a new, better internet altogether.